I would say I'm a sound effects editor for the most part. I get in there and I cut with the team. I cut, my share of the sound effects. As the supervisor, I am in charge of wrangling everybody. This takes a team, so I have to go stop, talk to everyone and say, where are you at? What are you working on? And we all coordinate so that we're not all working on the same thing. And I will take everybody's work at the end of the day and put it all together in one big session, and I'll just start going over it and kind of adding my touches on top of that to kind of just make it perfect for either a playback for the director before the mix, or just for the final mix. So for the most part, I'm a sound effects editor with the added process of taking everybody's material, combining it, and making sure it sounds like it's supposed to. As a sound designer, sometimes we'll have shows with, a monster or a machine or something, that we've never seen before. So it'll be my job to go in there and create a new sound for the machine or for the monster and make it, make a whole brand new sound. That sometimes means taking recordings already. They're not new sounds, but taking multiple recordings and making a new sound with those. When you look at special features and all, you see them people going out and recording, cars driving around and all this cool, recording airplanes. Well, we don't really get to do that. There's no time. So when I say sound design, you really got to either, we can jump in the Foley room and record a few little things on our own, or I have a recorder at home that if I hear something, I can record at home. But we don't get the budgets that allow us to go on trips and go recording, a jumbo jet flying over. So we make use with what we have, and it usually turns out, I think, just as good. Depends on the movie, really. If the movie is heavy visual effects and monsters and war, then they're right up, they're right in there. They're pretty important, and they got to be loud and they got to be hitting you hard. If it's a drama or if it's like a comedy, they're kind of more set back and the dialogue is in charge. So it really depends on the film. Dialogue is always probably most important, but I would say if it's an action film or a horror, especially a horror film, sound design is right up there with it, along with the music. There's often a fight between music and sound design, just because they both kind of have the same dynamic. When something's scary, the sound goes up, and so does the music. So people kind of got to decide. You got to decide what the director usually decides what he wants to hear more. So sometimes, I'll come in after a mix and I'll say, oh man, my sounds are gone. It's all music, but sometimes they play them up and it's cool. But whatever the director likes, it's their movie, and we want them to be happy with it. So that's however they want it. That's what we give them. If you ever watch a movie with just production sound, most of it is not usable. Really, the only thing they want from production is the voice, the dialogue. Everything else is not like, all the details that we have that we put in sound effects are not there. The mic just does not pick up the detail that's needed for that stuff. And also, you want a 5.1 mix. If you just have a microphone picking up just one piece of sound, and it's all glued together, you cannot separate the sounds and spread them around the room without bringing the voices with it or anything. So everything we do is separate, so you can put it in the side channel or the front or the back of the room. So that's why we need to do sound effects, is for the mix, and also because you can't hear it in the production, and because you want it to sound really cool and good, and nothing, it doesn't sound like that in real life. So that's why we do sound effects. To improve their film in terms of sound effects, I would say one of the major things that they should always do is do some background sound effects. So all the ambiences throughout your film, because that will help smooth out your dialogue. You won't hear the bumps every time your camera cuts. It'll kind of mask that. Well, the dialogue edit also is important for that too. But as far as sound effects go, that is another layer that just gives it a nice bed to sit on, and it makes it sound so much better. Even though it's just ambiences, it's going to make your movie sound more professional. So backgrounds are important for that. And then the sound effects, the hard effects, which is what we call hard effects, are like actual cars driving, or somebody getting punched, or a dog barking. These are solid sound effects that you can pull from a library, not Foley. They're library effects, and these are important to heighten any sounds in your film. If there's something you want to stand out, give it a sound effect. So yeah, it's really to heighten or to get something in the story across. If the car's going fast, but you filmed it going slow, but you want it to sound like it's going fast, so you add sound effects, and it'll sound like it's going fast. So those kind of things. It helps the story along and heightens the film. Foley just is the icing on the cake that really just gives you all the detail and makes it feel more realistic. Unless you're doing a cartoon, then you go over the top and go hyper realistic. So that's why for student film, I would say background's very important, and then I would try and hit your important sound effects, and Foley, only where it's needed for student film.